I'm gonna be real brief, even though y'all know I'm a lawyer and I'm a child of a preacher. But I gotta get to my black job before I lose it, right? Because, we go through elections every 2 years. So you gotta stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready. So let me make sure that I don't miss anybody. I gotta make sure I do this, because otherwise that's another way to lose my black job real fast. And I'm gonna skip off just a little bit really quickly, because the vice president is my everything. And I have been clear about this. The vice president ain't lose nothing. We lost. And we about to find out. So I just want to be clear about that. And happy Founders Day to all the AKAs. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Let me get that out the way as well. Okay? Yeah, exactly. Y'all know what it is over here. I kept telling everybody on the campaign trail, I was like, now, y'all know I bleed crimson and cream, but I support the one wearing pink and green, okay? That was so real. But I'm so honored to be recognized alongside my fearless leader, Hakeem Jeffries, my sorors, and honored colleagues, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, as well as Senator Angela Alsobrooks, Assistant AG Kristen Clark, the President of the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, the Reverend Terrence Melvin, at this morning's Martin Luther King Day breakfast. I have to start by thanking your founder and a true civil rights champion, the incomparable, indefatigable, inexorable, and inimitatable Reverend Al Sharpton, for leading this organization, safeguarding Dr. King's legacy, and helping to carry on the movement he dedicated his life to. I also want to thank the honored co-chairs of this event, Martin Luther King Jr. III and Andrea Waters King. It's not Junior the third, but that's what they put. It's just the third. Anyway, to even hear my name alongside yours is humbling. And just so y'all know, we met a few years ago. If some of you recall, when I was in the state house, we left the state house, and it was all about voting rights. And I ended up at the MLK statue. And who was there but these two amazing souls? Let me tell y'all, I had no idea that I was going anywhere near Congress. I just knew that I had to do something, because there were those that came before me that made a way for me. And so here it was. Now, I was doing all these interviews with Reverend Al, y'all. And if you run the tape, if y'all go run the tape back, he was constantly calling me senator. Now, I wasn't nobody's senator, but he had elevated me. And little did I know that elevation would come, but it would come in the form of me entering the U.S. House. Nevertheless, in moments that feel so dark and uncertain for so many of us, where we feel we are moving backwards instead of forward, I find strength in the words of the late Reverend Dr. King. Press on and keep pressing. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. Throughout my career as a public defender, a civil rights attorney, and an elected representative in both the Texas State House and now in the People's House here in D.C., I can admit I have felt impatience at how slow the wheels of change move in this country. But it is that impatience that has helped to fuel my fight to make the United States of America live up to its own promise of liberty and justice for all. If I tried to imagine walking alongside Dr. King, Ella Baker, Bayard Rustin, and Rosa Parks, I know they would feel that burn of impatience and righteous anger just like I do today. But the late, great Congressman John Lewis put it best. Change often takes time. It rarely happens at all at once. We've had to wait a long time for change. For every step forward we take, we have been pushed 2 steps back. 5 steps, hell, even 10 miles sometime. But Dr. King would remind us that it doesn't matter how long the road is, just as long as we keep walking. Thank you for this honor, and remember, it's up to us to continue pushing back against extremism while ensuring the voices of our most vulnerable neighbors never fall on deaf ears. And as we discuss fights and pushing, I know some of y'all saw what happened yesterday. Hey, y'all, I just have to address the elephant in the room every once in a while. Y'all know somebody tried to fight me. Me pulling off my glasses is the equivalent of me pulling off my earrings. I just want y'all to know. Y'all. Or as some say, child.
I hold you.
As some would say, child, you got me messed up. Nevertheless, I just want y'all to really understand what that moment is about, because what did not go viral was the fact that I was actually sitting there trying to remind my colleagues of the legacy of Dr. King.
Yeah, that's right.
I was trying to introduce or reintroduce, I was trying to provide an amendment that would allow for the Civil Rights Subcommittee and oversight to be reintroduced in oversight. That's what it was about. Okay? And I didn't pick on nobody. I didn't start none. Okay? Instead, what I said was that tomorrow, being today, was going to be Dr. King's actual birthday. And on January 20th was going to be the swearing in of their beloved leader, as well as the day that we honor the legacy of Dr. King. And so I said, I know some of y'all think that when we say civil rights, it just means black folk. Let me clarify the definition of civil rights. And so I defined for them what civil rights look like, but I also told them the story of sitting on the plane traveling with Lucy Baines Johnson. Lucy Baines Johnson showed up to honor the life and legacy of President Carter. And as I sit here and we sit here in the legacy of Dr. King, I had to tell this story that Lucy Baines shared with me, because there's only stories that certain folk can pass down. And I had the benefit of flying with her, and I had met Lucy Baines a number of times, but this time we actually had some time because we were stuck on a plane for about 3-4 hours. And so we sat next to one another because she came up to me and said, I gotta tell you, Congresswoman, my daughters love you. And it is the wildest thing for me to hear that the grandchildren of the late great, probably the last great president we had from Texas, but nevertheless, Lyndon Baines Johnson, for her to tell me the story of being an 18-year-old that was in the White House with her father at the time that he was going to be signing the Voting Rights Act into law. Now, all the civil rights leaders were there, y'all. She told me about the civil rights leader, and she told me that her father had this amazing handwriting, and this was the only time that the handwriting was bad on any bill, because he was giving everybody signing pens, and so he was just doing a little bit, and then you got a pen, and he was handing them out because he really wanted all the civil rights leaders to get a signing pen. But she also told me that the very first signing pen that he handed out was to the Republican leader, or the opposition leader. I don't know if it was a Republican or not, because y'all know things was a little funny back then. But the minority leader who had stood against this legislation, who had finally come on board. And so she said, why would you give it to him first? And he said, because it was hardest for him. So that's why I gave it to him first. But more importantly, she didn't really want to go to the signing because she was 18 and it was going to be inconvenient for her. Because he decided that he was going to do the signing over in Congress. And so she said, Daddy, why do we have to go over there? And she said that he said to her, little one, you have to understand that these members have a level of courage that means that them voting for the Voting Rights Act, they knew they were not coming back. So I asked my colleagues to channel just a fraction of the courage that members in the House possessed in the 1960s and allow us to just have the subcommittee on civil rights. That is what I did, and then it turned into trans folk, and then y'all know it just went completely left. But I do want to be clear that the substance of what I was trying to do did not go viral. But I want y'all to know that every day that I walk in those halls, regardless of whatever rhetoric they put out about me, I am a very serious lawmaker. At the same time, if you try me, you will find out. I just want to be clear about that, because I am truly a black woman at the same time. So I say thank you and God bless. And I do mess with the real Republicans. My homies is sitting over here, not just Michael, but Tara, who was texting me and was like, sis, are you coming this morning? Eyes here. God bless y'all.
Jasmine Crockett.